If you're looking to buy your first, your second, or your 10th brand new fishing boat, today I've got just the 10 tips that are going to help you in the process of buying that brand new fishing boat. What is up out there, Mavericks? Welcome back to the channel. Now, when it comes to buying and purchasing a brand new boat, that is a huge investment for any angler, whether it's your first time, your second time, or this is your 10th brand new boat that you bought. Buying a boat is a big investment, but also if you put in the time, you put in the research, and you go figure out what it is that you want, the process is going to be fun, and you're going to enjoy the boat a lot more on the water and have a lot of memories and a lot of big fish pictures out on the water. So if you're looking to buy a brand new fishing boat and you don't know where to start, or you've been through the process before, or it's been a little while since you bought a brand new boat, I have just the 10 tips to help you enjoy the process and get the right boat for you. Now, starting out at tip number 10 is to find a quality boat dealership and a dealer. Now, when I was going through and looking to buy my first boat, I was looking for dealerships and dealers that are of high quality, had good reviews. When I talked to other anglers and other people that are buying boats like guides, what they recommended. And locally, here in the Northwest, we've got a couple of good dealerships. And everywhere across the country, there are so many boat dealerships around. Not all the same, and not of all the same quality as well. Now, when you go to these dealerships, look for these few things. First, do they have pushy salespeople? Secondly, what type of service does that dealership have? That's going to be a good sign, because as you take your boat in for maintenance and you don't want to do it yourself, you want to find a dealership that has really good quality and quality service for your boat. First part of your research, what you should be doing for a new fishing boat, is to make sure you find a really good quality dealership near you. Now, coming in at tip number 9 is to make sure you have a good storage option. And this is key for the quality and the life of this brand new fishing boat that you're going to have. Whether you're going to store it at a marina, a storage unit facility, you have a garage or an outbuilding or a shop that you can put it in, having some place to store your boat is critical. Now, what you don't want is to be limited on options when it comes to storing your boat. If you got no place to store your boat, that's a really big deterrent and problem when it comes to purchasing a boat. If you got no place to store it or keep it, I would say that's pretty much the danger zone. So if you don't got a storage plan, you might need to back up and start with that first. Now, coming in at tip number 8 doesn't have to do with the boat, but what you tow the boat with. And that's to make sure you got a good vehicle that's going to be able to tow the size of boat that you're looking for. We've all seen it on the highway driving around where guys have these, big, nice, really big boats, and then the vehicle they're towing it with is really bad. It's got crummy tires. It doesn't haul the boat very good. Maybe the boat is a little bit too big for the truck or the vehicle that's being towed with, and that could cause some really disastrous moments. The boat de-hitches off the trailer and it's just swinging down the highway. There's videos out there, we've seen it all, when you don't have the proper vehicle to tow your boat safely and securely to the water or to the lake or wherever you're going to fish. Because if you have a crappy vehicle towing your boat, you're probably going to end up on some YouTube fishing bloopers. Coming in at tip number 7, again, doesn't have to do with the boat, but you want to make sure you have a really good trailer for your boat. And from experience and seeing a few other anglers, really cheap and really crummy trailers can lead to some really bad experiences towing your boat long distances, down freeways, or going from lake to lake, wherever you're going. You really want to have a quality trailer, especially for a new boat. You don't want to have a crappy trailer that's maybe 10, 15, 20 years old, could have some holes in it, could come up with some problems. In my experience, if you're going to buy a brand new boat, buy a quality brand new trailer with it. Now, coming in at tip number 6 is to figure out what kind of boat that you're looking for or you're going to go after. And there's so many different kinds of boats out there. Now, you've got bass boats, you've got aluminum boats, you've got center console boats, you have super open boats, you've got little john boats, you've got more guide fishing boats, you've got boats with tops, boats without tops. There are so many different models of different types of boats. And this is the great part about going through the process is if you know what you want, that's great. But make sure you're going through the different models and seeing what is out there to make the best choice or narrow down a couple decisions. So if you want to go see some boats in person and go look at them, that you're narrowing down some of the different models and different styles that are out there. There's a lot out there and it can be overbearing for a lot of new people, especially those looking for their first new fishing boat. Now, when I bought my recent new boat, one of the things that I did was to go through the different species or different places and locations and what I was actually going to go fish for or crab for, and that helped me really narrow down and figure out the different models and different styles and what kind kind of boat I was really wanting to go after. So my suggestion, take a few minutes, write some notes down, and think about what you're going to fish out of the boat or what species you want to go after, and that'll help you narrow down and figure out some of the different models and styles that you're looking for. Now, coming in at tip number 5 is to determine your fishing needs. When you're thinking about purchasing that new boat, what customization, what add-ons, what things do you want to add to your boat that's going to add to the experience that are absolute musts that you're going to need for when you purchase this new boat? And figuring out what you need versus what you want is also critical, because you could run a pretty high price tag, especially with all the different add-ons, the customization, and all the little extra things you want in your boat. So I would suggest to determine what you absolutely need and what you can live without, because when I bought my boat recently, I added the stuff that I absolutely needed for about the first couple years, knowing if I needed to go back and add in some customized pieces, add some things onto the boat later on, I could totally do that later. If I was going to go target some different species or do some different fishing styles on my boat, I could add those things later. But really determining what I absolutely needed with the boat was a critical element as I was trying to pick which model, which style, which size of boat that I wanted. Now, coming in at tip number 4 is to pick the right size motor, and I cannot emphasize enough how critical this tip is when it comes to your brand new fishing boat. Now, out on the water, you've seen those boaters or those guys that have just too small of a motor for their boat, and they can't get around because there's too much weight. It's not getting on plane because they don't have enough horsepower, because they cheaped out on the motor because they needed to pay for the boat. But for me, the motor is the most critical element of the boat, because if you don't have it, you ain't going anywhere. So you need as much power as possible. You need a powerful enough motor to get up on plane and get going and get scooting along the water. So as you're going through the process and you're looking at different models and boats, make sure you also ask questions or know what is the most horsepower or what's the biggest engine that you would want to put on that boat to make sure you get the most efficient horsepower, the most efficient fuel out of it. It's going to give you the most speed and get you places where you need to go, as well as get on plane, because that's kind of critical when it comes to boating. Otherwise, you're just going to putt along and it's going to take you a long time to get places on the water. Now, coming in at tip number 3 is to make and set a budget when it comes to buying a new fishing boat. Now, when I bought my recent boat, that is one of the first things that I actually did was I got out a piece of paper, I jotted down some numbers, and I thought about what is the high mark for a boat price that I would go with, what's a medium price, and what's the lowest that I would get. You know, there's always the extra add-ons as well, which can add up, but I wanted to set a base budget on what I wanted to spend for the boat, the engine, and then some of the critical add-ons and how much those things were going to cost. And I kind of created my own self-budget for this project to think about. At a high mark, this is as high as I'm going to go, and so maybe there are some things that I can purchase later that are more customized things with the boat. And by setting a budget, you are able to do two things. First being, you might eliminate certain models or certain styles or sizes of boats because they're either too expensive or maybe they're a little bit on the cheaper side or not exactly what you're looking for. And secondly, with a budget, it also allows you to not overspend on a boat and get a lot of additional things that maybe just aren't important to what you want in a fishing boat. So grab a pen, grab a calculator, make a budget, and set a plan before you go boat shopping. Now, coming in at tip number 2, and this is an important one, which is to do your research. You can never spend too much time researching a brand new fishing boat. And there's so many ways to access and get information when it comes to different fishing boats. Firstly, go to the dealership. They've got boat theirs, they've got brochures, they've got pamphlets, they've got information, and you can touch and see the boats in person. Secondly, there's a lot of great information online at boating sites or as well as the dealership sites. There are a great amount of information. They have details, specs, sizes, color options, customization options. It allows you to kind of go through everything end to end virtually without having to go to a dealership. But there's also a lot of videos out there on different styles and different models of boats that you can check out, see them virtually, and just tour them with a video if you don't have access to go to a nearby dealership. And this is the part of the process that you should be taking the absolute most time on. Do your research on the different specs of the boat, different options that they have, different size motors that go on there, different customization and add-ons, different types of seats, different styles. Get every single piece of information that you can in front of you to make the best decision possible. And through that research, and as well as through tip number 3, which was to look and set a budget, it's going to allow you to take some boats out of the running, but also get you that core or that set of boats that you really want to look for and maybe go test drive or go look at in person. And that's going to help narrow down the field and help you find that perfect boat. Now that we've gone through tips 10 through 2, what's tip number 1? Well, that is to enjoy the process and enjoy the boat that you purchase. Once you pull the trigger and buy that boat, learn to operate it, learn to love that boat. You may not have everything that you want on it, but enjoy the hell out of it. Take it out on the water, go do some epic fishing with it, take some big pictures of some big fish out there, take the family with you, enjoy the boat that you have, make the most out of it, and make some new memories on the water and get out in the outdoors. And yeah, eventually you might get 2-foot-itis, but just enjoy the boat and enjoy the fishing. And there you guys have it, the top 10 tips for buying a new fishing boat. Hope you guys got some great information and some tips out of today's video. And if you're looking for some other awesome fishing content, you should get hooked into this video right here.